Amid tears and tributes, the body of the founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations has been laid to rest. Temitope Balogun Joshua, popularly known as TB Joshua, was a Nigerian preacher, televangelist, and philanthropist. Today on Special Report, we'll take a look at the life and legacy of one of the most influential preachers and figures from the African continent. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
Time for everything. It's time to come here. And it's time to return home after service.
Sunday, the 6th of June 2021, Nigerian charismatic pastor, televangelist and philanthropist, and founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, Temitope Balogun Joshua, better known as TB Joshua, preaching at the Sunday morning service in the Ikotun area of Lagos.
Don't forget them in prayer. For you to be here today is grace. What our nation is going through will soon be over.
Hours later, the news about his death filters in.
December, this man go carry rice. Carry road, don't give us money. I think God now who is going to help us as the nation of Nigeria.
Because you told me to somebody, what going on in a man by 4 o'clock. In a welcome. He must not go for in the rest.
Done with weeks of mourning, a 5-day interment program was announced for the clergy, who has a multitude of ardent followers across the world. In a private procession on the first day of the celebration of the life of Pastor Temitope Balogun Joshua, his wife, Evelyn Joshua, led thousands of followers of the popular Synagogue Church for a night of tribute and candlelight procession in his honor at the Synagogue Faith Resort in the Ikotun area of Lagos.
Come on, lift your voice and declare it one more time. Holy Spirit, say. Holy Spirit, breathe in me. Let there be your prayer this morning. The Holy Spirit should breathe in you. Say. Holy Spirit, breathe in me.
The next day, thousands of worshippers converged for an all-day tribute service at the Synagogue of All Nations, where his family and those in the entertainment industry spoke about the late charismatic pastor.
31 years life journey with my husband. TBJ, the man in the synagogue. That is the name I fondly call him. You taught me to know that tests and trials are the soil on which our faith flourishes. I stand here today to say thank you for choosing me. Thank you for loving me, for caring for me, nurturing me. Thank you for being a good father to our children. You are not just a father who merely provides, but a father who wants the best and gives out his best at all times. I thank you for shielding me from those who came to our home with ulterior motives. And because you could not give in to their ill desires, they are bent on soiling your noble names. Yet, you were undeterred. I thank you for being you, TBJ, my love. You are unique in every sense. That's the man who does not understand the word impossible. He doesn't understand the word impossible. And above all, I thank you for using your life, spending your life on things that will outlive you. We will keep your dreams alive by God's grace. You are the man I loved. I was proud. And forever, I will be proud to be your wife. It is very sad. Very, very sad that I, Evelyn, may not be able to see you physically again. The children may not be able to see you physically. Your spiritual sons and daughters, the big synagogue family, and your loved ones in the world.
Dear Daddy, it's hard to put in words how remarkable a person you are. I had the good fortune of having you as a father who sowed the seed of imperishable values of hard work, discipline, generosity, and a host of other virtues too numerous to recount. I truly appreciated that you took your time out of your busy schedule to call me. It was not just a responsibility for you, but you truly, truly cared about my education, and you really loved listening to me talk about school. I would not be what I am today if not for your encouragement, your support, and your formidable dedication. You emptied yourself for your family and served humanity. Practically everything I know about the love of God, I learned from you. I also remembered when he took me to his altar and he told me, both of us, to kneel down on the floor, and we prayed for 45 minutes on the floor. My legs were hurting. He later told me that the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. Indeed, you lived a prayerful life. A prayerful life is one of sacrifice, and you truly lived that life to the last moments on earth. What a feat you have left for all of us to live up to. I'm so surprised to hear about all the condolence messages from people around the world concerning your compassion. Even some people I've never met in my life, they all testify to your compassion and your humility. What a life you lived, such a legend and an exemplary light. I believe that by God's grace, your peculiar sense of time, that while we were not ready, you were fully prepared for the call home. Rest in peace, Daddy. Your loving daughter, Serah.
As devastated as I was upon hearing about the news of my dad's passing, I can't say that I was completely unprepared for that day. Growing up as a biological daughter to a man like Prophet T.B. Joshua, my dad raised me to understand that he was on a mission in this world. For him, life on earth was spiritual warfare, not a place to get too comfortable like it was home. He essentially lived each day like it was his last, with most of his time spent at his prayer mountain, utterly focused on executing an assignment that only him seemed to be in the know of what the instructions were. Since I became more socially aware and more inquisitive about my dad's life, I realized that the implication of such a lifestyle was that once he was done accomplishing what he was sent for, he will be called back home to the one who sent him. I must say that my dad did an excellent job at preparing me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically for a moment like this. I remember the conversations we had, particularly last year, when I spent over a year with him at his prayer mountain, right before he eventually released me to pursue my master's. He said to me, "Before I release you, you have to spend nothing less than 6 months with me. Then you can go and do whatever you want to do." I ended up spending over a year with him. I saw him almost every day of that year. He'll tell me about how I needed to strengthen my relationship with God, carried me along at least 3 out of the countless times that he dedicated to prayer in a day. Most mornings, he would wake me up, would do our morning exercise routine, and we would have conversations about the most random topics. There was no aspect of my life that he didn't try to leave a positive footmark on in that year. By the time he was done with me and ready to release me back into the world, there was this sense of fulfillment that I observed in both of us. In retrospect, the memory of this moment is a place where I find solace now that he has passed on. I remember our trips to Arigidi Akoko, Ondo State. He made sure that I was present when he was visiting the old people in town. He would ask me to kneel with him as we kindly asked the elders to accept our gifts. They would pray for us. He would look at me and say, "This is the good life." I remember our trips from his new side to his old side. I would fall asleep in the car, and he would always make a point to wake me up to ensure that I was observing my environment, to see the reality of life for thousands of Nigerians. He'll tell me never to think that I was more deserving of the life that I had as a result of the grace of God in his life than the people that were on the street. For me, this was an important lesson that shaped my perspective and daily interactions. Lastly, Daddy, I want to say thank you for being such an exceptional role model. Your life is a living testimony of how God can raise a young boy from an underprivileged background with so much passion and zeal for God's work and use him in extraordinary ways. It is also a testimony of the extent to which one person's life can make such a massive positive impact in the world, with the thousands of lives that bear witness to the positive mark that you've made in their lives and in this world. I'm so proud to be your daughter, Daddy. Till we meet again in heaven, Dad. From Pom Pom, as he usually calls me, your twin.
On that dreadful day, the 5th June 2021, my father, Prophet T.B. Joshua, departed this world to join his Father in heaven, and it hasn't been the same for me again. I don't have many words to express how much I love and miss him, me, Daddy's girl. From a tender age, he showed me that his love for me was immeasurable, and I will forever love him for that. In the world where men were seeking fame, my father had a dedicated group of men, women, boys, and girls who loved the very ground which he walked on. He was clean in heart, in body, and mind, and I shall never forget the special smile, caring heart, and forever warm embrace. Knowing that I had someone who I could call on anytime and pour out my all to was one of the greatest parts about having a mighty man as a father. My father was an extraordinary person. He was not only the best role model, but he volunteered in his free time. He wasn't okay with only being a wonderful father, but he gave back to the world and helped those who were in need. As we may all know, my father's notable feature was his charisma. He could lift any room he walked in with just his presence and a smile. And not only did he apply this in his work as a televangelist and philanthropist, but in his daily life as a father. My father always had a smile on his face regardless of any situation and would never let anything trouble him. He was a jovial man, full of fun and laughter. He played uncountable jokes for me and my sisters, and sadly is leaving a hole in our hearts, which no one can fill. One of my favorite memories with my dad was the time when he got me my first bike. I was elated and bouncing with joy. I had been pressuring him countless times for a bike, but he pushed me aside, so I guessed he didn't want to get it from me. I tried my best to make him aware of the fact that I was angry by making odd faces in front of him. He was provoked by the fact that I was provoked by the fact that he would hug me irrespective of the tantrums I threw and still show me all the love and attention he did. So on the day I saw the big, beautiful purple bike in front of the car which had just dropped it, I ran directly to his room and gave him a big hug, showering him with thanks. I cherish every moment I had with my father, and I know he's smiling down at us right now. I am saddened that death took him away from us, but God said, in all things, we should give him thanks. His death has left a scar in our hearts, but his legacy will stand in our lives. My father was the most important person in my life, and I feel heartbroken to no longer have my father and spiritual figure with us. His memory will not only carry on in my heart, but in the hearts of everyone lucky enough to have known a delightful and astonishing man like Prophet T.B. Joshua. I am confident that we will meet at the feet of Jesus on the resurrection morning.
Prophet T.B. Joshua was a trailblazer. His legacy still rolls all over the world beyond tomorrow. He proved what he said: one life for Jesus is all I have, and one life for Jesus is so dear. Eshe Pupo, Daddy. Simini Alafia. Thank you very much, Daddy. Rest in glory. Your son, Brian Moshi.
For the lying-in state, also at the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Kotun, Lagos, all roads leading to the axis were blocked, with thousands trooping to the venue to catch a last glimpse of the man respected by his followers. tight security at the entrance, officials around ensuring strict compliance with COVID-19 protocols and giving direction on movement. Within the church, flags of different nations are flown at half-mast. A memorial service held for the late televangelist at the auditorium of the Lagos headquarters of the mega church. The military band ushers in the body of the late prophet. Here is the body of a man who had presided over worship in this church for several years, dressed in a white suit laid in a transparent casket and displayed as sympathizers. Both the young and the old, as well as visitors from different parts of the world, paid their last respects. To ensure strict compliance with all protocols and curb the spread of COVID-19 in Lagos State, the Commissioner of Health in the state, Professor Akin Abayomi, gives an update on the funeral activities.
And the likely cause of a third wave is going to be an importation of visitors who are infected with the virus. And so we are particularly careful about working with the synagogue to make sure that we have a collaboration that will reduce the opportunity to zero.
As early as possible, members of the Synagogue Church of All Nations within and outside Nigeria, sympathizers, family members, and those in the community all came out to witness the final journey of the late founder of the church. The funeral to celebrate the life of the late prophet known across the world attracts dignitaries, clergymen, politicians, monarchs, businessmen, and foreigners.
I salute you. Thank you very much, Honorable
Many could not even make their way into the main auditorium.
Give us the vision, Lord, we should have for our own lives.
Songs of praise and worship were rendered continuously. Messages were delivered by dignitaries.
Our generation has been privileged to witness a genuine prophet of the Most High God. We know the generation we're living in today. A generation without faith and hope. A generation where it seems as if the flame of the church is fading. Where today in the church you see that natural talents have been misinterpreted as spiritual gifts. And that is why God, in His infinite grace, wisdom, and mercy, raised a man from the humble home of Arigidi Akoko, Ondo State, Nigeria. A man named Temitope Balogun Joshua.
The Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, speaks on the qualities of the late prophet T.B. Joshua.
He, Prophet T.B. Joshua, is a loss to Christian faithful. He is a loss to thousands of adherents of other faiths. People come here from who don't belong to, who are not Christians. So many Muslims come here, Hindus come here, everybody come here because they are seeking deliverance. His humanitarian and charity work touched several lives, irrespective of ethnic and religious inclination. Irrespective of that, he has touched several lives. He has left unforgettable legacies.
The late prophet's eldest daughter thanked all in attendance for their steadfastness since the demise of their father.
I'm standing here on behalf of my mother, Mrs. Evelyn Joshua, my siblings, Promise and Hart, my dad's disciples, and the Emmanuel TV and Stone family. I want to thank you all for showing your love and honor to the family of God in the passing of my father. And I also want to thank you for your prayer and support at this moment. Thank you so much for coming. And I also want to thank our viewers watching all over the world on Emmanuel TV. May God bless you all.
A moment of sober reflection as the body of the founder of the synagogue church is being escorted by family members, friends and dignitaries to his final resting place. Everyone here paid their last respect to a man believed to have provided succor to the less privileged with his humanitarian gesture. Loud cry in the atmosphere as the body of Prophet T.B. Joshua is committed to Mother Earth.
Evangelists, let us move to the right side, all the evangelists.
T.B. Joshua, as he was commonly known, was born into a Christian family on June 12, 1963, in the small town of Arigidi Akoko in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. Joshua, then known as Balogun Francis, attended St. Stephen's Anglican Primary School in Arigidi Akoko between 1971 and 1977. The young T.B. Joshua wanted more from life than what it offered him at Arigidi Akoko, so he left home for Lagos.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family at this time. Thank you for watching this episode of the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga.